Okay. Now, just like we had primary xylem and primary phloem, we also have the concept of a primary phloem and a secondary phloem. So phloem can also be called as primary phloem and a secondary phloem. So secondary phloem will be formed at the time of secondary growth, and primary phloem will be formed from primary meristem ka vascularization. Okay. Primary phloem will also show the presence of the protophlloem and the metaphlloem. What are the two types? Protophlloem and the metaphlloem. Shall we continue? Now, the phloem is made up of the following types of cells: the sieve cells, the sieve tubes. Let us consider them together: sieve cells and sieve tubes. The companion cells, the phloem parenchyma, and the phloem sclerenchyma. The phloem sclerenchyma will also be called as the phloem bast fibers. Okay. So let us talk about the sieve cells. The sieve cells are characteristic features of pteridophytes and gymnosperms, not of angiosperms. So we come to the conclusion that are they primitive or advanced? Primitive. So the sieve cells, they are primarily found in your lower vascular plants. That is the pteridophytes and the gymnosperms. So with respect to that, they are considered to be primitive. Structurally, it is an elongated tapering cell. How the cell which the sieve cell is elongated, and which body, how is it? Tapering. Okay, and it shows the presence of areas called sieve areas on their lateral walls. So if this is one sieve cell, on its lateral wall, it will have an area which is called as sieve area. The English word for sieve is strainer. The Marathi word is garni. The one which you use for chai, garni. Okay? So garniचा अर्थ काय असतो? Is it solid or is it perforated? Perforated. So the sieve area of one sieve cell can overlap with the sieve area of another sieve cell, so that there will be conduction between the two sieve cells via their sieve areas. What did I say? That there will be conduction of food between two sieve cells via their sieve areas. There will be what? Conduction of food between the two sieve cells via their sieve areas. I hope my class followed, Ochalo. Are you comfortable, everybody? Okay. Now, the functioning of the sieve cells is controlled by cells called as albuminous cells. Okay, so sieve cells, this is one sieve cell. It is closely associated with cells called as albuminous cells. This is found in both pteridophyte as well as gymnosperms. NCERT mentions the line that in gymnosperms they show the presence of albuminous cells associated with the sieve cells. Are we clear with the sieve cells, everybody? Now let me talk about the sieve tubes. What are we discussing now, Uchula? Sieve tubes. Just give me 1 minute. Now, do you see this one cell, Bacho? Give me yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. This is called as a sieve tube element. What do you call it, Bacho? Sieve tube element. This is another sieve tube element, a third sieve tube element, and so on and so forth. So can I say many sieve tube elements have fused and they have resulted in the formation of a tube which is called as the sieve tube. Yesterday's lecture, many xylem tracheary elements fuse to form one trachea or continuous vessel. अच्छा lecture से statement क्या है? Many sieve tube elements fuse, resulting in the formation of a sieve tube. Sieve tube elements fuse to form a sieve tube. It shows the presence of a vacuole and peripheral cytoplasm. It shows the presence of a vacuole and a peripheral cytoplasm. You see the cytoplasm, Michilo? Where have I drawn the cytoplasm? Towards the periphery. Okay? So what do you call it? A living sink site or a dead sink site? So can I mention that? I am describing the who bachalo? A sieve tube, and the first point I said that it's a living sink site. Matlab, it's a fusion of many sieve tube elements. Has my class comfortably followed what I said? Ayana, what is another characteristic feature I said? It shows the presence of a central vacuole and a peripheral cytoplasm. Is it nucleated or enucleated? It is enucleated. What do you mean by enucleated? Without a nucleus. Okay? And it shows the presence of a cell wall. Do you see this part, Michilo? Right? I will highlight it like this. This is the cell wall between the two sieve elements. This is the cell wall between the two sieve elements. Right, kids? And what I see is that this cell wall is not continuous. It shows the presence of holes, perforations. Okay? So the cell wall is called as a sieve plate. And these perforations are called as a sieve pores. So it shows the presence of a cell wall between two elements, which is called as a sieve plate, and that shows the presence of what bachalo? Sieve pores. Are you all following what I'm saying? It shows the presence of, do you see this blue wala part? These are the cytoplasmic strands which are connecting the two elements, and these strands, cytoplasmic strands, they will help in their food what bachalo? Conduction. Got it? The cytoplasm shows the presence of a type of proteins called P proteins. That is the phloem proteins. Okay? These P proteins are protective in function. When during the fall season, that is during the autumn season या fall season, मतलब जब भी पत्ते झड़ जाते हैं और वो क्लियरली विजिबल होता है deciduous trees में कि ठंडी के मौसम में वो लोग अपने पत्तों को नीचे गिरा देते हैं, अनफेवरेबल कंडीशन है ना ग्रोथ के लिए। तो वो टाइम पे इन फ्लोएम के थ्रू, पत्ते ही नहीं है बच्चों, मतलब खाना बनाने वाला ऑर्गन जो है वो नहीं है, पत्ते बहुत ही कम है या नहीं है, तो इनके थ्रू कंडक्शन होगा कि नहीं होगा? नहीं होगा ना। आई होप यू आर गेटिंग माय पॉइंट। आई एम टेकिंग यू समवेयर। द लीव्स आर फॉलन, so is the phloem being used right now or not used? Not used. So during the fall season, what we see is there is depositions of certain carbohydrates. Okay, and these carbohydrates are called callose plugs. What are these carbohydrates called? Callose. So during the autumn season, the pores show the presence of what bachalo? Callose plugs, which protect the cells from bacterial infections. Okay, so it is said that, it is hypothesized that even the P proteins also have a protective role to play like the callose plugs. Callose is a type of a carbohydrate. Okay, which type will not go there detail. 1, 3 जो भी ग्लूकोन वो है वो सब ठीक है। So did you understand the callose plug? So when will you get the formation of the callose plugs, bachalo? During the monsoon season or the autumn season? Autumn season. What is the autumn season also known as? Fall season. Why you call it as the fall season, guys? Because the leaves fall in that season, right? At that time, what is formed, bachalo? Callose plugs. Okay, which have protective role to play. With the return of the favorable conditions, these callose plugs will be dissolved. Are you getting it, everybody? Now, we'll come back to this point of the sieve tube element. So the point that whether is it nucleated or is it enucleated?
Enucleated.
Right? So we want somebody who will control the functions of the sieve tube elements, and that is done by these cells which are known as companion cells. So companion cells are enucleated or nucleated,
Nucleated.
and they are absent in gymnosperms. Companion cells are absent in
Gymnosperms.
gymnosperms. Got it, everybody? And between the companion cells and the sieve tube elements, we see the presence of a lot of pit fields. You remember pit fields, Bacho? Ayana? So there will be a lot of connections between the companion cells and the sieve tube elements via the pit fields. As a result of which the nucleus of the companion cell will produce proteins and enzymes, and it will control the sieve tube elements. It also helps to create a pressure called as turgor pressure inside the sieve tube elements for the conduction of food. So in the chapter transport in plants, you will study that turgor pressure.
Turgor pressure means wall pressure, no?
Wall pressure opposes the turgor pressure. Turgor pressure is the pressure exerted by the cell membrane on the cell. Okay. Have you studied that part? No. Transport in plants, right? I don't remember it. Okay. But the details, proper, अच्छे से. You have a section in transport in plants called as translocation of food. वहाँ पे we will be teaching you the Munch hypothesis, where how the food exactly gets transported, how sucrose helps to build up that turgor pressure. ये सब सिखाया. Okay. So yeah, right now we can have a general idea that the companion cells are helping to control the activity of the sieve tube elements because the sieve tube elements are enucleated. Now let us answer to the question that why are these cells called companion cells? What is the meaning of the word companion? It's not a big meaning, let me fast. What is the meaning of the word companion? Do you have any companion, Bachalo? Parth? Who is your companion? Huh? Friend. Maybe Omkar is your friend, your companion. Is he not your companion? Then, so why is it called as a companion? Okay. Because once upon a time, long time ago in Sangli, there was a mother cell. And this mother cell resulted in the formation of daughter cells. Okay? Out of these two daughter cells, one of the daughter cell is enucleated. And she became committed that I will form a sieve tube. So can I say both of them are sisters to each other? Because they are born from a same mother. Ayana, does your mother have a sister? Yes. And they are very close, na? Ayana? No, not very close. They fight now also. Your chocolate, my chocolate, they don't do that. Okay? So, as they have the same mother, this cell will remain with the sieve tube element and help her with her nucleus. So, what should we call it, Bachalo? We should call it as a companion cell. So, companion cells and sieve tube elements. They come from the same mother cell. Hope you know? Hope you know? Bianca? Hope you know? Yes, sir. Andar? Why you start laughing the moment I call his name? Huh? Why do you like gutargu sound? It's a nice boy. Okay, guys? Like this. Another sieve tube element. Sieve tube element, companion cell, sieve tube element. Okay? What is callose plug, you remember? Okay? Chemically, it is a type of a carbohydrate. Which type you don't have it? Beta 1,3 glucan acid. लिहिलं मुद्दाम मी सांगितलं बघा कोणा का लिहिलं कट कर दिलं मुनीमजी यू नो मुनीमजी पुराने पिक्चर में आते ना वो मुनीमजी जो भी ठाकुर बोलता था लिख के रख देता था वो ओके trying to hide behind Omkar since a long time, preventing eye contact. So where was I? Can we? How are you? Look at this cell. Do you see this red cell, Bachalo? This cell is the phloem parenchyma. What is all the cell? Phloem parenchyma. And this phloem parenchyma will help to do what? Storage. The phloem sclerenchyma. These are long and elongated cells. They are found in the secondary phloem, not in the primary phloem. So the diagram in the NCRT does not show the presence of phloem sclerenchyma. So if they give you the diagram, exactly the same diagram, and they tell you they ask you, is it a primary phloem or is it a secondary phloem? What is the answer you give? Primary phloem. Because it is not showing the presence of sclerenchyma. Bast fibers are absent. Some of these bast fibers are commercially important. Yes, Prachi, can you tell me examples of commercially important bast fibers? झूठ का मैं बोला अरे झूठ नहीं है सच है the commercially important झूठ का बोलते तुम्हारा अरे तो झूठ बोला मैं सच बोल रहा हूँ हाँ बोल चल बोल चल प्राची बोल and flax jute sunhemp कल डिस्कस किया था ना फ्लैक्स तुम लोगों ने मराठी वर्ड भी बताया था मेरे को सांगली मराठी वर्ड फ्लैक्स जवळचं हाँ राइट Parv? So this is the entire description of which tissue? Phloem. Let's do a quick recap. So phloem is a tissue primarily meant for conduction of. The phloem which comes from the vascularization of the primary meristem is called. From secondary meristem is called. Who is to be seen during secondary growth? Primary phloem which is first to form is called. Protophlloem. And which is later form is called metaphlloem. Priyanka. What are different types of cells which are found in the phloem?
Companion cells, phloem parenchyma, phloem sclerenchyma.
Phloem sclerenchyma is also called
Bast fibers.
and these are found only in the primary phloem. True or false?
Secondary.
Don't get angry. start throwing things here and there. Sieve cells. Sieve cells are found in gymnosperms or angiosperms. And pteridophytes. They show the presence of an elongated tapering structure with sieve areas and albuminous cells. What is a sieve tube? It's a living zinc site. Many elements come together to form a yes. They show the presence of a central, vacuole, peripheral cytoplasm and they are enucleated. The cell wall between the two is called sieve plate with sieve pores. They also show the presence of strands which help in conduction, protective phloem proteins. And बच्चों लोग one more thing, एक एक्स्ट्रा पॉइंट क्या बताया मैंने, ऑटम सीजन में कैलोस प्लग्स फॉर्मेशन होता है जिससे वो क्या होता है, प्रोटेक्ट होता है बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन से. उसके फ्रेंड का नाम क्या है या सिस्टर का नाम क्या है, कंपेनियन सेल, जो उसको कंट्रोल करता है. दोनों के बीच में बहुत सारे क्या बच्चे लोग पिट फेज है. स्टोरेज के लिए कौन सा यूज होता है, फ्लोएम पैरेन्काइमा. और सेकेंडरी ग्रोथ के बाद आपको कौन दिखेगा, फ्लोएम स्क्लेरेंकाइमा. ठीक है, एनी क्वेश्चंस? हाँ, a very simple question. Who wants to answer? Tell me. Very simple. Who? Mandar? Oh, what is the name? Boy's name beside Mandar? So now kare? Huh? Omkar. How many Omkar we have to go here? 3. चलो Omkar, tell me. एनिमल टिश्यूज में हम लोगों ने कितने टाइप ऑफ फंडामेंटल टिश्यूज किए थे एनिमल्स में? एपिथेलियल, कनेक्टिव, मस्कुलर एंड नर्वस. ये तो राइट ना? इन द केस ऑफ प्लांट्स वी हैव 3 फंडामेंटल टिश्यू सिस्टम्स. हाउ मेनी? How many? 3. What are the 3? Epidermal tissue system, vascular tissue system, and ground tissue system. Omkar, how do you know that? कुछ भी मेरे नाम पर डाल देता है. मैं आज पहली बार बोल रहा हूँ क्लास के अंदर. मैंने बोला था. What is it? Epidermal tissue system. Then you have a vascular tissue system and the ground tissue system. So who is this? Who is this? Stem. I cut the stem, cut it, and it appears like cylinder. And the outermost layer, the skin, is which tissue system, but you know? Epidermal tissue system. And it shows the presence of xylem and phloem, which is called as the vascular tissue system. Other than that मतलब, other than the epidermal and vascular, the rest of the tissue system is called as the ground tissue system. So do you see this blue circle in the middle? Give me yes or no. Yes. It is called pith. Now let's go. Pith. And do you see this line bachalo? It is called pericycle. And do you see this cell bachalo? It is called as the cortex. This all comes under the which tissue system, bachalo? Ground tissue system. Understood the basic idea? So we classify them based upon their locations in the plant body. Okay? So we classify them into which kinds, bachalo? Epidermal tissue systems, vascular tissue systems, and the ground tissue system. The first one, what is it? Epidermal tissue system. The epidermal tissue system consists of epidermis, then the stomatal apparatus and the appendages. What do I see the presence of? The first one. What do I see the presence of, Bachalo? I see the presence of an epidermis, which is usually single layer of parenchymatous cells, which are vacuolated. Okay. Now, if I look at the epidermis of the stem, this is the outermost layer of the stem, epidermis of a stem. It will be covered by a waxy coat. The stem will be covered by a waxy coat, which is called as the cuticle. Got it? In the case of a leaf also, there will be two: an upper epidermis and a lower epidermis, which are called adaxial upper and abaxial is lower. And both these epidermis are covered once again by the presence of a cuticle, and this cuticle will minimize the water loss. What is that? Now that? What is now the? कसं खोटं कसं बोलतो ना सकाळ सकाळ एवढं लवकर जेवण डिफॉल्ट इंजिन मध्ये खोटं बोलणं कोई दूसरा सॉरी बोल देता. Okay, so what is the stem and the leaf covered by? Cuticle, and this cuticle will minimize the water loss by transpiration. Okay, if you take a TS of a root, bachalo, even the root will show the presence of a epidermis, but it is non-cutinized. So epidermis is a single layer. Epidermis is a single layer. Okay, and they are parenchymatous cells. In the case of stem and a leaf, they show the presence of a cuticle, and they're non-cutinized in the case of a root. Because root requires to absorb the water, it is under the soil. So the loss of transpiration is not there. Did you get it? Another important thing, bachalo, is what, bachalo? The stomatal apparatus. So what are we discussing now? We are talking about the stomatal apparatus. Let me show you on stomatal apparatus. And what are the different types of cells that make up the stomatal apparatus? Okay, kids? Now, we are talking about a stomatal apparatus of a dicotyledonous leaf. Okay? It shows the presence of cells called as guard cells. Okay? So now see. Let me highlight this cells. Do you see this cell, Bachalo? Ayana, one cell or two cells? Two cells. So the guard cells are a pair of cells. Okay? What does the shape look like, Bachalo? Bean shape. Clear? In the case of monocots, who said that, Dumble? Omkar. Now which Omkar I am calling out, you know, guys. Yeah, did you say that? How do you know that? और ये भी मेरे में ही डाल देंगे, उससे तुम नहीं होता. They are double shaped. बराबर है? So the double shape in the case of monocots and bean shape in the case of dicots. Look at the cell wall, kids. The inner wall is thick and the outer wall is thin. the inner wall is thick and the outer wall is thin. Did you hear this point? What did I just say? That in the guard cell structure, they have outer walls which are thick and inner walls which are thin. Okay? Full time. Outer walls which are thin, inner walls which are thick. And do you see these red lines? These are cellulose microfibrils which are radially arranged. It's a PYQ. How are the cellulose microfibrils which are radially arranged? And they help in the opening and closing of stomach. So the orientation of the cellulose microfibrils will help in the opening and closing of stomach. The pressure responsible for that is the turgor pressure. We will study transport in plants. Okay, but the anatomical features that help in opening and closing of stomata is the specialized cell walls. Got my point? Between the two inner walls, you will see a crescent-shaped pore. Crescent means half moon circle, which is called the stoma. The pore is called what? Stoma. So what is the second part of the stomatal apparatus? That it shows the presence of a elliptical pore, which is called stoma. I hope the class is following what I am saying. So this is one guard cell. This is the inner wall. This is the outer wall. This is the inner wall. This is the outer wall. Now look. Do you see the elliptical pore? That is the stoma. Stoma. So the guard cells help in the opening and closing of stomata because of the change in their turgor pressure. What is the anatomical feature that helps? The cell walls. There is special thickness and the arrangement of the cellulose microfibrils which are radially arranged. Okay? They are not longitudinally or transversely arranged. How are they arranged? Radially arranged. Clear everybody? Then, surrounding the guard cells, we see the presence of which cells which are subsidiary cells. And these subsidiary cells, they are a storehouse of K plus and Cl minus ions, and they will also help in opening and closing of stomata. What did everybody? Yes or no? So what are the different parts we saw till now? We spoke about the epidermis, we spoke about the stomatal apparatus. Now let us talk about the third part. What is the third part which you know? About the appendages. What do you mean by appendage? An outgrowth is called as an appendage. What do you mean outgrowth? It is a bahar aaya hua part. Okay? Like your nose is a ventral appendage. Your ears are lateral appendages. Your mouth is not an appendage, it's a pore. So appendage matlab outgrowth. So the appendages can either be found on the stem or they can be found on the roots. Okay? So we have got stem hairs which are called trichomes. And on the root, we see the presence of root hairs. Where the epidermal cell is an epidermal cell which shows elongation, that is called as a root hair. Remember that the root hair is always unicellular. Got it? Whereas on the stem, this is the epidermis. Most of the times, these trichomes, okay, these are, how are they, multicellular. So trichomes are mostly multicellular. Sometimes they can even be what? Unicellular. Whereas root hairs are always unicellular. These trichomes, they will reduce the rate of transpiration, because now see, my hand is the stem with hairs which are called as trichomes. So now when the water loss will take place, will the water come in direct contact with the atmosphere, or first there will be a layer of trichomes which will layer of trichomes, so there will be air layer over there. On my point, direct exposure of water will not take place, so the rate of evaporation, transpiration will decrease. Direct sunlight will not fall there. I hope you are trying to understand. So there is an air layer between whom? Between the stem surface and the atmosphere, and that layer is created by whom? The trichomes. So now the resistance for water to go out will increase or decrease? Increase. Pilot has to go through the trichome ka layer, then it will come in contact with the atmosphere. Got my point? So imagine a stem with many what? Trichomes. As a result of which, the direct effect of sunlight and transpiratory losses of water will decrease. Have you seen a brinjal tree? Not a tree, rather a brinjal plant. बैंगन का झाड़ देखा? कैसे रहता है? पूरा hairy रहता है बच्चों लोग. Those are the trichomes. बघितलं सर ना मागे सर? Yes or no? Sometimes these trichomes, whom are we talking about, Ucho? Trichomes. They can either be soft or they can be stiff. Kadak or फिर soft. So the stiff ones have a protective role to play. Some of them are glandular, but they are secretory. For example, mint, basil, tulsi. They are lavender. Mint, lavender तो शायद नहीं आपने देखा होगा, लेकिन तुलसी का पेड़ या पुदीना, उनके स्टेम और उनसे खुशबू आती है कि नहीं आती? चलो आया ना? Why? Because they show the presence of